Welcome to the show, Resource Art Impact. I'm your host, Elisa Ricketson.
And I'm your host, Kate Branham. We have a wonderful show for you today.
All three of our guests are leaders in the local arts community.
We experience their impact through their support and promotion of the arts and through their giftedness as performers.
First, we will be getting in tune with renowned violinist and former Seattle Central student, Dr. Quentin Morris.
Then we will laugh it up with another Seattle Central alum, almost live veteran, Nancy Guppy, current host of the Seattle Channel's Art Zone.
Finally, we will be treated to the compelling words of Seattle's current poet-populist, Mike Hickey. Mike is also a creative writing instructor at South Seattle Community College.
But before that, let's learn more about Dr. Quentin Morris in a profile piece put together by a couple of students here at Seattle Central Community College.
The aspects that I enjoy most about teaching is seeing students learn material that you are able to pass on to them. I really thrive on helping students develop kind of their inner voice, as well as develop a sense of scholarship and a sense of pride in education. Well, I went to Seattle Central when I was in high school, actually. I did a program called the Running Start program, which enabled high school students to be able to receive college credit. It was something that I enjoyed and I valued. Well, the residencies can range from students learning about self-esteem to an instrument petting zoo where they might be getting exposed to an instrument for the first time. We also do different performance residencies where you might play, different types of music for students. I do play with the Young 8 String Octet, and it's a group that I'm very proud of. We work really hard and we've done a ton of different educational outreach programs in the community, especially for children, for young people who might actually have an interest in playing an instrument and might just need a little bit of motivation. We're that motivation. So I think that's really important and very valuable to our community.
That was a great video.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Morris, for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's an honor to have you. Now, you began your education at Seattle Central Community College in the Running Start program. Can you tell us how that program impacted your life?
Well, the Running Start program impacted my life in several ways. One is the fact that it allowed me at the age of 16 to be able to attend a community college. I was one of the first students in my high school to actually do the program. Wow. And when I got to Seattle Central, I was able to actually knock out a large number of the academics that I needed if I would have just applied as a freshman to a four-year institution. Once I got to Seattle Central, I had the opportunity to actually serve as a research assistant and teaching assistant to one of the professors there, and we're actually still really good friends. So it was a very positive experience for me. I was able to learn a lot about the college life on the academic side early on, which I think really benefited me once I graduated from high school and went on to Xavier University.
Right, right. So you use music to reach out to the community. What inspires you to do that?
Things that really inspire me actually are outside of the classical music genre, you know? I mean, of course, I love, listening to classical music, but I think about other people that have multifaceted careers. Obama right now is really like has his hands in a lot of different pots. Beyonce, has a multifaceted career. Michael Jackson, those types of people, I think, that are able to do a multitude of different things and do them well, really inspire me. And so I think about people like that, and so when I'm on tour, or if I'm teaching in the classroom or doing some sort of outreach project, I always kind of think about those people, especially when I get tired. I always think, okay, if they can do it, I
So
can,
can you.
yeah, exactly, I can too. And so that, kind of inspiration just kind of pushes me to be able to motivate others.
That's great.
To be able to, stay in music. Especially middle school kids, because that's when kids are teased a lot, especially guys are teased and, for playing this,
I'm saying this
quote,
from experience.
yeah, yeah, or, for playing this girly instrument, the violin. It's like, 11, 12, 13 years old, kids don't play those types of instruments. They play sports. And so I think that also kind of pushes me to be able to serve as a mentor and serve as an advocate for young boys and adolescents, that are playing these types of instruments.
Well, speaking of that, among your many achievements is the development of the young string octet, the Young Eight.
Yeah.
Can you
I like how you put the word young string octet, the young eight. I like how you did that. Nice.
Will you tell us about the development process and the collaboration with the group?
With the Young Eight?
With
Yeah.
the Young Eight.
Well, the reason why I make that little joke is because we're getting older, and as we get older, we mature, but we are still young. The Young Eight is an organization that I founded 7 years ago. It's a group of esteemed musicians that all graduated from America's top conservatories, Juilliard, New England, Boston Conservatory. And we all get together and we play concerts. We tour all around the country. We've played Benaroya Hall a couple of times, and Meany Theater, among some other, really distinguished concert venues. But we also do a ton of outreach concerts and programs geared towards young people. And it's not just focused on music, but it's also focused on doing well in school, having, really good self-esteem. I spoke earlier about how, kids might be teased or that sort of thing in middle school. And so we talk about the issues that are kind of stemming among young adults, and we try to serve as role models for them. And I think that's really important because in the classical music genre, it can be somewhat intimidating, and so for us to actually be able to put a little flair towards young people, I think is really important. And we do that through not only playing classical music, but we can play hip hop music, we can do jazz, we can do all different sorts of music in order to cater to the different types of audiences that we do.
That's
so
great that
I
you're so
really like
diverse.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Dr. Morris, thank you for being a guest on our show. We are honored to have you, and we love that you're willing to perform for us. So, while Dr. Morris is getting ready to perform, let's hear a little bit from the octet, the Young Eight. That was truly amazing. Our next guest is the comedic talent and host of Art Zone, Nancy Guppy. Nancy got her start as an actress right here at Seattle Central. Let's look at a clip from King TV's Almost Live.
Capable woman!
It's time for the adventures of Capable Woman! The new superhero who isn't new exactly. It's just she's finally broken through the male-dominated superhero power structure and is just now getting the recognition that is so rightly hers! Capable Woman! Who are you?
Whenever a man is in trouble and his male ego is threatened by his own incompetence, I'm here to help. You don't have much time. Quick, hand me that wrench. Done.
Wow, thanks, Capable Woman. My male ego's still intact and nobody needs to know I couldn't fix it myself. Hey, Dave, what's the holdup?
Hi, Nancy.
Hey.
Hi.
Great to be here.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
So you mentioned before the show
Yeah.
that Seattle Central actually began your acting career.
Absolutely. It all started right here at Seattle Central Community College. I was working, I graduated from the UW in, what was it, speech communications. I've always been a late bloomer.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. It's like, you know, for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I was working at Nordstrom downtown in the credit department, and I started taking an acting class here at Seattle Central because I was so unhappy. I mean, I need to do something to break
Yeah.
up my life, you know. You've never been unhappy, I'm sure, ever.
No, never.
But no,
No.
you don't even know what that's like. But I really needed to kind of shake it up. So I took this class simply for that reason, and I just met the right people, and the teacher was awesome, and that just really was a pivotal point, truly a pivotal point in my career, clearly, and in my life. So.
And it helped inspire you to be an actress.
Oh, absolutely. From the class, and it was taught by Rob Harden. He was the head of the theater
Yeah.
department. And I went on after that to do some fringe theater. And then I met my husband, not at the time, but who was going to be. He was just doing some work on Almost Live, this show called Almost Live, which I hadn't ever heard of, really. But they did sketch comedy, and on occasion, he would call me at Nordstrom and say, hey, can you get off work at, Wednesday at 1 and come down and do a bit for a show, or for a piece. And so I would lie, of course, to my boss and say I had a doctor's appointment or whatever,
Right.
I'd go down there, I'd do the bit, and so that's how I kind of got my foot in the door there at Almost Live, and then I got hired once I could prove that I could kind of write, and then it just kind of went from there.
Now, you were on Almost Live for years.
I was.
You
years and years, years.
And you worked with people such as John Curley
Yep.
and
Bill
Bill
Nye.
Nye, the
Yep.
Science Guy.
Yep.
Now, how did being on Almost Live really put you on the path that you are currently on with art?
With Art Zone and
Art
what
Zone,
I'm doing?
yes.
Well, I think a lot of it is just experience of doing something and being kind of in that environment. So I learned how to be on camera.
Right.
I learned how to talk to people on camera. I learned how to, I was doing a lot of character work, but you're learning how to kind of be a presence in front of a camera, you know what I mean? At the same time, I was meeting so many people in the arts community outside of sketch comedy,
Right.
and recognizing kind of what I love. One of the things I loved was to promote the local art scene, because I love art, I love going to art, I love owning art, and I like to put people out there and promote what they're doing. So I think just kind of being in that environment for so long taught me the skills. That's kind of what it comes down to. It's kind of putting the time in.
That's we actually have a clip from Art Zone on the
All right.
Seattle channel.
Excellent.
that you're host of. Can we roll that clip, please?
Wow. Very nice. The Northwest Tap Connection is a very big thumbs up. Now this is Melba Ako. Melba is the program and artistic director of Northwest Tap Connection and a tap dancer herself, yes?
From the days of Shirley Temple.
But you're so much younger than Shirley Temple. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about tap. Has been around for a long time, and yet...
That was great.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Now, what do you enjoy the most about your show and working with the Seattle channel?
Well, that's a great question, and I could go on and on, but I'll make it succinct. It's a dream job, first of all, getting to really dive into the arts community and focus on a lot of emerging artists and promote them. I mean, that's just really a delight to me. The Seattle Channel is a place where you can do that. There's really no other station, I don't think, in the city anymore where they're willing to try things, a lot of local programming at all. It's really going away. So there's no really boundaries or structures down there other than budget and certain things like that. But we really get to try things and to just kind of get out there. They're very supportive of me in that way. And then it's really important, as you all both know, working with a great crew. It's super, it makes all the difference. And the people I work with are really committed and very supportive, and they are good at their job. And it's what makes my job easy to do. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. It's been an honor to have you.
Well, it's been a delight to be here. You guys are great.
Mike Hickey is going to perform for us the piece Vicarious Alchemy. Mike is Seattle's current poet populist and has spearheaded the creative writing project Seattle Writes. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hickey.
Vicarious Alchemy. As your eyes scan hundreds of sailors dazzling as human snowdrifts in their navy whites, when she laser locks on her man, her father, her husband, she no longer needs her sense of sight. Darrow, she screams. From now on, she no longer needs a sense of sound. She's had 18 months of sound of wartime silence, or the rare abbreviated phone call from the war zone riddled with static, sounds from concerned teachers and bill collectors, her mother, her sister, her boss. When she reaches him, embraces him, it's everything she dreamed of. She can defy gravity without gravity's consent. 347 nights of remembering their engagement, wedding, babies. She holds him so close the blood rushes to his head. So close, even the seagulls hover to see if he will break in half. She smells him, not as cologne or a special soap, but him, just him, then no longer needs her sense of smell. As she sobs into his shoulder, as they share the most private moment of their lives, she feels his musculature, his beard, his heart beating. And when she can tear her arms from around him, they will kiss a long, slow movie star kiss, and she will no longer need her sense of touch. This morning, a Saturday at the Bremerton Naval Station, there is something in the air like air, but better. There is something so magical, so powerful, that calling it love isn't enough, because love is the score of 0 in tennis. Love is a new pair of sandals or a good movie, and this is something more than that. This is what keeps the rest of us alive.
That was beautiful, Mike.
Thank you.
Now, did the woman in your poem, was she inspired by anybody else?
No, I mean, it wasn't a real woman. It was totally based on all the news reports that we see where there are reunions between soldiers and their families, their spouses, male and female soldiers with spouses. And there's that magical moment where they kind of see each other from the distance, but then they don't even look at each other. They just kind of grab each other, you know? And that energy, I don't know, you can almost feel like I levitate every time I see that. So I wanted to try to capture that in a poem. So that's kind of where this came from.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, poetry is a very visual art. What piece of advice would you give students to create the best visual poetry they can?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that's sort of the fundamental question of writing. I think whether you're male, female, black, white, if you're human, what we have in common are our five senses: see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So I think writing needs to appeal to those 5 senses. Some of the sort of bromides or show, don't tell, and paint pictures with words. I mean, the big thing is to try to be really specific instead of general, you know? Yeah, show, don't tell.
Okay, and did you have a certain individual that really inspired you to start writing and doing poetry?
Yes, well, I did have God. God, the traditional God, but also there was a teacher at my school at the University of Arizona named Bob Downs, and he was Harvard educated, and he was really tough, and his nickname was God because he knew everything. And I had him for several creative writing classes, and he was very critical. But if you got a good critique from him, you were just like, you could ride that wave for like a month. You know, nothing else really mattered as long as you had that. So I think that was a big thing for me. Yeah.
All right. Well, I believe you have another poem to read.
Elisa.
So if you could share that with us, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'd love to. Okay. So this is a different kind of poem. This is called Show and Tell. Roberta Butts, a.k.a. Big, Burly, Brawny Bob Butts. Her dad owns a slaughterhouse where my mother buys Turkish sausage at a discount. I really like Bobby Butts for a girl. Not like, but, you know, just like. And on show and tell days, she proudly displays a cow's eye floating in a jar of formaldehyde. Eileen Ulrich, straight-A student with free tickets to the Cardinal baseball games for being so smart, makes eye contact with the cow's eye until her face blanches like a bleached sock. Color drains scalp to chin, and slowly she starts to swirl in concentric circles like an old-time record player scratching out a 45, until she trembles, faints, implodes like an old building in a heap on the linoleum floor. Sister Mary Frances rushing to her aid. Oh, how I love thee, 5th grade, 5th grade. I think the Poet Populist program is important and significant because it merges democracy with art. Okay, so my project as Poet Populist 2009 was to create a program called Seattle Writes. It was based on an extremely popular program called Seattle Reads, which was initiated by some Seattle librarians several years ago, in which everyone in Seattle, book clubs, arts organizations, etc., read the same book and then talk about it and then have the author come in and do a reading and do a Q&A. So in Seattle Writes, we're encouraging everybody in Seattle and King County to write a poem. But what I would like to do is make poetry more in the mainstream, more prevalent, more relevant, more accessible and available to Americans, because poetry is so powerful and there's such large leaps of imagination, and Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge, and I believe that. I believe imagination is something that Americans have in abundance.
Now you both do outreach to promote the Seattle arts community. What importance does art have on the cultural life of the community?
You've got a good answer for that, I think.
Well, I think increasingly, I was just at a middle school, and we were doing poetry exercises, and they're teaching their students, middle school students, how to write the classic 5-paragraph essay with an introduction and 3 bodies and a conclusion.
So it's very structured.
Exactly, and they're writing a formula for a test, for the Wassel test. And so when I came in and started doing creative writing exercises, and somebody came up with the glass mailman, well, that's cool. Let's write about the glass mailman, you know? And so this is where the imagination comes out. So writing is language plus ideas, and we're focusing so much on the language that we're losing the ideas part. I think that's...
That's totally huge, and I think my sister was taught art in a elementary school, and she was talking about how the left and the right brain, they're constantly interacting and crossing over. It's not like this only creative and only like more or logic. So it's super important that those things get really worked as young kids in particular, because then you know how to think. As you grow old, you know how to think outside of the box. So art is hugely important.
What opportunities do you know about for others to share their craft with the community?
Well, I mean, I think if you go to any kind of, if you go to a gallery, you go to a theater, you go to a dance show, right? You go to a reading at Hugo House, for example.
Absolutely.
All these people are sharing their craft. They're also sharing their ideas, their perspective on life. So I think if you go out and experience performance, clearly you're experiencing.
I mean, it's all grist for the mill. You never know when you're going to see something or experience something that's going to become part of your act or your play or your painting or your art. You never know. So I think as artists, as writers, we see with 2 separate set of eyes. We see with our regular eyes, and then we see of how can I use that in a story.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Okay, so you both are writers. So Nancy, what advice could you give to someone who is trying to improve their creative writing?
write. Do it. I mean, just write. Talk with people, share what you're writing. I think that you said a really great thing a little earlier, which is be specific. Go in and sharp and hone it in. It's all about the rewrite. You get your idea down. It's, you're attached by a piece of tape. But it's all about getting your idea down, rough draft, and then you go back and you just start chopping it and honing it in brevity, getting it really tight. So that's what I would say.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's true, and I think writing regularly, you can't sit around and wait to be inspired.
No.
Thomas Edison said, genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration.
Yeah, right.
So you just have to get busy and write a lot,
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's fun. Once you get the hang of it and you sort of learn the process of it,
Absolutely.
it's a process just like anything else. So it's
Absolutely.
fun once you get started.
Well, thank you two for being here. It's been an honor to have you.
It's been great being here and talking with you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, totally cool to be with Nancy Guppy.
Fabulous.
Hey, hey.
I love it.
And thank you for coming for another episode of Art Impact. Now check out this.
As a student at Seattle Central's film and video program, we begin making our own film and video projects our very first week of school. The emphasis is on teamwork and collaboration. The program offers a broad base of skills. Students might work on commercials, short films, industrial videos, and documentaries. Graduates work in a variety of professional settings, including independent and feature film, network and local television production, post-production, sound, and graphics. As one student put it, it's a lot of hard work, but the rewards are immense.
I know I was in the right place at Seattle Central Community College in the first quarter. It wasn't right away.
I would like to say that I enrolled at Seattle Central Community College with confidence due to finally having a clear idea of the career I desired.
I was a little hesitant about the program. I was unfamiliar with everything from the lenses of the camera to the people I was surrounded by.
But to be honest, that's not the case. I enrolled with a ballpark idea of the role I wanted to play in society, and tremendous trepidation over the choice I was making for my future.
Sure, I had gone to school for years at a university, but that was easy for me. Classes were huge, information was straight out of the book, and weekends were set aside for socializing. But SCCC was different.
Now that my first year is coming to an end, I am confident that I made the right choice.
It was in October, and I had received tons of calls about my friend Cameron's going away party. I adore Cameron and swore I would be there, but I realized I had reading to do, I had a paper to write, I had a shoot, and I had work after my shoot.
Seattle Central Community College has helped me hone in on my desires for the future.
Sure, I could have managed to probably skate by the reading and throw a sloppy paper together, but I didn't want to. I wanted to do well. I wanted to learn the trade.
As a student taking on 20 credits per quarter, I often feel overwhelmed. However, I know being a student here will pay off with a successful future.
And when I sent my other friends a text letting them know I was going to do some reading and then go to sleep, I realized SCCC was exactly where I needed to be. And I'm glad I'm still here.